Hello everybody and welcome to CFO Conversations. I'm your host Paula Kensington and I have the great pleasure to welcome back Michael Joffe into the studio. Welcome.
Thank you, Paula.
So today, maybe controversially, we're going to talk about finance being at the crossroads, and Michael and I have got some similarities in our views, but we've also got some different views as well, which I think is always healthy in a debate. So let's see where the conversation goes. Michael, the role of CFO has changed so much over the last 5-10 years and is going to continue to change over the next 5 to 10 years. And depending on the size of business, depending on the industry, depending on the complexity and the startup versus the established, the CFO has so many different roles. I'm interested to hear what you think the role of the CFO is today.
Yeah, sure. Look, I think, as you mentioned, the role of the CFO has changed very significantly over the years. And I think more so we've been seeing this expansion of responsibilities of the CFO into areas of strategy, into areas of data and technology, into areas of more commercial, the more commercial aspects of business. I think though, and perhaps controversially, what I'm seeing is that there are pockets. I think in some instances we're seeing that and we're seeing the role of the CFO truly expand. I think in some instances we're seeing, unfortunately, the role of the finance function or the finance function itself coming under pressure to downsize, to rationalise, to contract. And as a byproduct of that, the role of the CFO is also diminishing slightly or contracting back to perhaps a more traditional base of controllership and stewardship.
Yeah, and you mentioned off camera about how there are a number of financial controllers who are assuming the acting CFO role, which is kind of good and bad. And I've seen some of that myself when I've left roles. It's been that sort of holding pattern. So that says to me that the transactional nature, because I think a lot of financial controllers are still at that position because they're still quite transactional and they're not into that strategy piece, because in my view, the CFO is the business leader, and I've held that view for at least 5 years, maybe because of the businesses and the CEOs that I worked for. But I think putting an FC in charge of finance has its own challenges. Awesome for the opportunity, but the change between adding up all the numbers and actually being a visionary is chalk and cheese.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. Kudos to organisations who are taking a punt on people and certainly internal bench and giving those internal candidates bigger roles and bigger opportunities. Fantastic. However, I am seeing more and more FCs being put into interim CFO roles or particularly where CFOs have departed a business. Now, is that a consequence of some of the business conservatism and uncertainty at the moment? And there's a fair amount of that at the moment. It could be, but you're right. I think it is dangerous to put financial controllers, into CFO role to simply be adding the numbers up without more commercial experience or strategic experience or leadership experience.
I think it's very short-sighted of business, even if there is uncertainty and challenge, that the CFO is that strategic visionary piece over the whole of business.
Yes.
Interesting times. May we live in them. Thanks, Michael, for the conversation.